Whereas string theory is not like poetry, and whereas uncertainty principle does not apply to romantic comedies, be it resolved that science and art may no longer share metaphors. Again, science and art may no longer share metaphors. So I may went over this briefly, but we're just going to quickly run down again the form of the debate, which will be one speech not exceeding 2 minutes from the affirmative, followed by one speech not exceeding 2 minutes from the opposition, followed by one speech not exceeding 2 minutes from the affirmative, followed by one speech not exceeding 2 minutes from the opposition. We'll then take a total of 4 questions, 3 from the audience, 1 from our guest speaker, followed by concluding remarks from all 4 respective speakers. At that point, we will tabulate your scores. We will then not use your tabulated scores and use a show of hands and determine the winner of this evening's debate. Finally, the time, the aforementioned not exceeding 2 minute portion of the debate will be kept by Macdonald Robinson. She'll be our timekeeper. She'll be using hand signals to indicate to the speakers how much time they have left. If you guys want to sneak a little peek at what she's doing, if what the speakers are saying is so not interesting that you want to look at the timekeeper, we will now go over what her hand signals will be, which are for 1 minute remaining, for 30 seconds remaining, 10 seconds remaining, 9, 8, 7 respectively. At which point there will then be a 15-second grace period, so I guess we're actually talking about 2 minutes and 15 seconds if you really want to play it close to the line, guys. At which point I will then cut you off in a very dramatic fashion. Okay, without further ado, again, be it resolved that, do you want to get into this?
Point of clarification.
Yes, point of clarification from Small Wooden Shape.
15-second grace period should be penalized in the technical column.
Yeah. As moderator, I think you can disregard that last comment. You can use the 15-second grace period as much as you like. I may, if you'd like to take your position. Again, be it resolved that science and art may no longer share metaphors. Speaking first for the affirmative, Jacob Zimmer. You have 2 minutes, beginning now.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, Madam Timekeeper, distinguished members of the jury. The time for confusion must end. We enter an age where differences must be acknowledged. In this day and age of exceeding complexity, of increasing specificity, it is important that we distinguish between art and science in order for a clearer, brighter future. Once upon a time, metaphor was needed. Metaphor was crucial to how we understood the world. How art and science, these two fundamental ways of comprehending and moving forward, they both required metaphor, and they needed to share metaphor. They were closely related, but no longer. Now we must draw a line. We must separate the two for the sake of clarity. Because it's confusing. It leads to poor understanding, muddled thought, and for neither side, neither art or science, benefit from this. For example, to quote a nationally respected presenter who I spoke to earlier this week, who will remain nameless, "If I hear of one more play about string theory, I'm going to kill myself." The claim of science as authority in art is no longer useful. We cannot appeal to this other object, and science must lose its hold on the romantic notions of art as inspiration, as flaky and out there. Art must have its own truth, and science must have its own truth, and we must now begin to distinguish those truths, and we on the opposition, or on the affirmative, feel that the time for difference is now.
Thank you very much. There will now be be a moment for scoring. Please take a moment to notate what you thought of what you just heard. Thank you very much. There will now be a speech for a speech not exceeding 2 minutes from the opposition by Bob Macdonald.
Mr. Moderator, Madam Timekeeper, distinguished guests, worthy opponents, I ask you, what the hell was he talking about? It was science, it was art that got me as a child of 8 years old to get interested in science in the first place. A book that was an art book about the solar system. When planets were nothing but fuzzy balls in telescopes, it was artists who brought me to the surface of Mars, to the surface of Venus. And today, it's the artists that bring us to the black holes, to the beginning of time, that put the skin on the dinosaurs, to let us see. I tell you, without the art, science is nothing but boring facts. Bovine spongiform encephalopathy, what the heck does that mean? It's mad cow disease. Yes, now it makes sense. And mathematics, well, you could say the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico covers square kilometers. You will not remember that number. But if I was to tell you that if that well was placed in Toronto and the extent of that spill went from Windsor to Ottawa, now you get it. On my program every week, which is heard Saturdays at 12:05. Supports my name. When I say, let me see if I've got this right, I'm searching for a metaphor to try to make sense out of something that was totally incomprehensible by the scientist I'm interviewing. The universe is art. And the next time you go to the seashore and you pick up a beautiful seashell and you notice the wonderful spiral that starts small and gets larger and larger and you hold it in your hand, remember that mathematical shape is exactly the same as the shape of our Milky Way galaxy. Nature preserves scale. Science is art.
Thank you very much, Mr. There will now be a speech not to exceed 2 minutes from the second speaker.
Scoring.
If you could take a moment for scoring, please. Technical prowess. So tech prowess is the technical prowess. So that's the prowess. There are different sorts of prowess. I don't know how I've been put in this position. I was supposed to be the moderator. The technical prowess of the ability to put together a formal argument.
Good one.
Yes, one clarification.
Frank for mayor!
The technical prowess in previous Mulligan debates is referred to the speaker's ability to present their argument clearly and concisely within the given time allotted for the speaking, not to exceed 2 minutes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Yes, so there will now be a moment for scoring. And we will now hear from a speech not exceeding 2 minutes from the second speaker on the affirmative side, Mr. Jim Hunt.
It will exceed 2 seconds. We've had all this squirmy ground here, and I'd like to give an example of why these metaphors should be separated. In 1898, Johnson Stoney, who is remembered for nothing else, gave a name to an entity. He called it an electron, and a particle, an electron. We've been stuck with that business of particles ever since, and we've deprived several generations of young people the ability to do science properly because we insist that the electron is a particle. Our brain is now focused on it being a particle. You can't have a particle go through 2 slits at the same time. And I think the gentleman on the opposite side would have